Now, in 1990, the Center for Disease Control of Atlanta, Georgia, and the World Health Organization did a study, and this was on the top 32 industrialized nations. Japan came in #1 in longevity, life expectancy at 79.1. The French came in 11th at 75.9, and we came in 17th at 75. Well, 10 years later, same study redone. This was the Center for Disease Control and the World Health Organization again. The Japanese maintained #1, but they dropped from 79.1 down to 74.5. The French moved up from 11th to 3rd, but they dropped from 75.9 down to 73.1. And the American doctors call this the French paradox, because the French consume more fat per person than any other culture on earth. I mean, they cook everything in lard and butter and cream and eggs. Can you imagine a French chef cooking in canola oil and margarine? Not going to happen, right? And yet they were able to move up from 11th to 3rd. Well, following the doctor's instructions, being paranoid about fat, getting on a fat-free diet, eating egg beaters instead of eggs, eating margarine instead of butter, eating only boneless, skinless chicken breast, that sort of thing, getting on cholesterol-lowering drugs, we went from 17th in longevity to 24th because we dropped down to an average lifespan of 70. This is in the year 2000. Well, 2005, same study, Center for Disease Control of Atlanta, Georgia, and the World Health Organization. This is the summer of 2005. America has built the world's highest tech medical system, yet the nation now ranks 46th. The nation now ranks 46th in health and longevity, behind Japan, who's still #1, and Singapore, Canada, and virtually all of Europe and Scandinavia. Not too well, because in 15 years we've gone from 17th to 46th. Well, in 2008, let's have a look here. Let's see, this came out in November 2008, not too many months ago. The United States now ranks 48th in life expectancy. So 18 years ago, we were 17th, and now we're 48th. And we're spending 3/4 of the world's annual expenditure for health care. The entire world right now is spending $2.7 trillion for health care each year. We spend $2.3 trillion of it, and we rank 48th in the world, even though we're spending 3/4 of the world's expenditure for health care. Well, what that tells you, ladies and gentlemen, is that we're not doing a very good job. It tells you that our healthcare system sucks, if I may say that. And it's one of those things where you wouldn't tolerate that in any other industry. If you got the kind of service we get from the healthcare system for the amount of money you're paying, you'd be upset. You wouldn't go back. You'd be contacting the state attorney general, the fraud squad, and all that kind of stuff, right? Well, the biggest killer in America is this guy. He's still killing people after he's dead. Yeah, biggest killer in America. He kills more people in the world than anybody else. All that fried food, trans fatty acids, free radicals, causes coronary artery disease, cancer, stroke. Now, if you want to live to be 100, there's 4 things you have to do. There's 4 things you have to do to live to be 100. Number 1, you have to cut your calories down. The average American right now eats somewhere between 2,200 and 2,500 calories a day. You've got to get down to about 1,500 calories a day if you want to live to be 100. If you can even do better than that, if you can get down to 1,200 calories a day, but most people can't quite do that. And this was actually studied in 1935 in Cornell University by a guy by the name of Clive McKay. And he was a good physiologist. He was a very good scientist, but he wasn't a very good businessman. He ran out of money halfway through his experiment. And some of the animals he was working with, part of the experiment was they were eating these little rat pellets that had everything in them, so every mouthful was perfect. And they could eat all they wanted all day, and they even had enough food in there they could get up in the middle of the night and have a midnight snack. But every one of those pellets was perfect. And so to keep these rats in the same regimen so he didn't have to alter the experiment in the middle of the experiment, Clive McKay cut the food in half on the ones that were just sort of waiting in the wings that weren't in the experiment. And at the end of the experiment, the ones just getting half the food lived twice as long as the one who were getting all they wanted. And he couldn't believe that was true, so he redid the experiment using mice and guinea pigs and rabbits and rats and dogs and all kinds of other animals. And no matter whether it was spiders or whatever, if the diets were the same, the ones getting half the amount of calories always lived twice as long as the ones getting all they wanted. And so that's called a calorie-restricted diet, a CR diet.